Reminder. I know, that looks very painful. Yes, it's back knee. Okay, oil glands, most of the time when people are thinking about oil glands, they think about acne. And oil glands actually have a very important function, and that's to keep the surface of your skin moist. And because oil is waterproof, right? Oil is non-polar and water is polar, so it repels water. So that helps water run off your skin, which kind of makes a little bit of sense. So you moisten your skin, and water runs off your skin. Well, let me go back a second. So most of when we think about oil glands, and they're associated with hair follicles, pretty much essentially associated with hair follicles, there are other oil glands in other places in your skin where you don't have hair follicles, like your forehead. Okay, nobody has hair follicles on your forehead, but we all maybe had a pimple on our forehead, okay, or acne on our forehead based just because there are oil glands there too. You got to keep your skin all nice and moist here too. Okay, but usually with hair follicles, not always. All right, now there's a big thing about what acne is, and then I have a link that talks a little bit more about acne in different kinds. Okay, during puberty, for some reason, the rise in hormones makes your glands over-secrete oil. So bacteria on your skin, naturally occurring bacteria, feed on them. Then they die. White blood cells attack the bacteria, the white blood cells die, and that forms a pimple. And I'll show you with a couple of animations this in more detail. Acne animations, how fun. That link. So if we take a look at this link, and I didn't look at it recently, but I'm pretty sure it's still good yet. All right. Says for reasons no one completely understands, follicles often called pores overproduce cells and sometimes get blocked. And so as these oil glands are trying to secrete oil onto the surface of the skin, the follicle gets blocked. Okay? And then so oil, which normally drains to the surface, gets locked in here, and bacteria begin to feed on it. And when they do that, it's showing it right here. You block the opening. Bacteria start feeding on the oil glands, and there's different kinds of acne. There's non-inflammatory acne, which is when you get little bitty white pimples, or sometimes what are called blackheads, where on blackheads the pore is open to the surface, so the sebum, the melanin in it turns black. Okay? With the white pimples, the tiny white spots or whatever, some of them are really small. You just get a little bit of bacteria underneath the skin. Sometimes you get a pimple that doesn't even show up. Okay, like, I don't know if you know what I mean. But sometimes you'll feel, like I get it on my chin here sometimes, where I can feel that, like it's all blocked and there's stuff in there, but it doesn't show. It's just like a bump on the surface of my skin. It's annoying. But that's it. Okay? In inflammatory acne, this is the acne we really think about, okay, where you get swellings and it gets all red, where you get white blood cells on the surface. That's when this white blood cells attack, basically because the whole pore is inflamed. It says when there is a break in the follicular wall. That means the hair follicle actually breaks open, okay? And so that creates what's called an inflammatory response, and you get a pustule on the top. And so then you take your fingers and you squeeze from both sides, and what you're really doing then is you are opening this blocked follicle to the outside. Okay, and that gets all the white blood cells and bacteria out of there, and if it stays open, then it will heal. Okay, sometimes you can get things like this. Okay, you get nodules, which is when this really big bump, you get a cyst, which is these giant pus-filled zit kind of things, and a severe inflammatory reaction. And then sometimes, especially in babies, newborns have what are called milia, like little teeny white spots. Okay, those aren't zits at all. All right, that's when normally slough means skin cells that just fall off or get rubbed off, get trapped in small pockets on the surface of the skin. You see this in newborns because their skin is like they've been in mommy's tummy and their skin isn't scraping off like it does out here. So out in the atmosphere because it's dry. So yeah, so those are the different kinds of. Is there any like that's how acne forms? Most acne medications try to dry out the surface of the skin. Okay, they tend to dry out the surface of the skin. So when you dry out the surface of the skin, you actually are keeping the oil from the hair follicles from getting blocked. That's generally how they work. I'll never forget when I was in high school. Okay, this one isn't so bad. Burns. Last thing we're going to talk about with skin is what happens when you burn your skin. Okay, and this is like a diagram of a third-degree burn. Okay, there are 3 degrees of burns, although some doctors now use a 4th degree, which is really, really bad. It's basically right to the bone. Okay, 1st degree is you've only damaged the epidermis. Okay, most of your typical sunburns are 1st degree. Okay, your hand or your whatever or your back or whatever gets red. Doesn't really do anything else. Maybe in a little while, the skin, maybe in a few days, the skin flakes off. Okay, or dries out and flakes off due to being burnt. Okay, but it's redness only, and it only damages the uppermost layer of the skin, the epidermis. Okay. 2nd degree burns are into the upper region of the dermis. So down through the epidermis, into the upper region of the dermis. This is when you get blisters. Okay, if there's blistering of any kind, that's a 2nd degree burn. Do you know what the word blister means, Andres? What a blister is? Blister? Blister? Okay? No. A blister is when, like when you rub your skin and it pops up and you get that swollen part of your skin with liquid underneath it. Like your skin goes, I can't draw this very well, but whoops. A blister is when your skin does this kind of thing, and then you get all fluid underneath there, and you stick a needle in it, and all the fluid comes out, and it's all warm. Yeah, blister. Okay? If you get a blister from burning, okay, it touched, when I was little, my mom left the iron somewhere where she shouldn't have. Actually, I just ran into it, and stuck my arm on it and had all blisters on the back of my arm. That was a 2nd degree burn. Okay? There's no scarring with this. Sometimes a little bit of scarring with 2nd degree burns. Not generally though. It usually goes away after a while because it's just the upper region of the dermis. 3rd degree burns burn where the skin actually turns white or black. It destroys nerve endings. So I'm giving you what I would call clinical. You went into the clinic with burns, and that's what they look for. Okay, so you burned deep enough now to destroy the ends of nerves. That's a 3rd degree burn. I told you. Here's a characteristic 3rd degree burn. Okay, you see this white patch of skin on this person's back. It's burned down into the nerve endings. Okay. This would be considered pretty much a 4th degree burn now. Okay, where the skin is basically gone. Okay, you've burned all the way through the epidermis and the dermis. And, I'm sorry, Hannah, I was making thought your eyes were closed. I was afraid you were just going to fall over. Okay, you burned all the way down through the epidermis and the dermis. You see the tendons here in this person's arm. Okay, here, obviously maybe they had gasoline in their hand or something or whatever, and it lit on fire, whatever. They were doing something in their hand, maybe caught their arm, whatever. Okay, here, person's back is burned. It's all whitish or white in skin. Probably not going to grow back. Okay? Probably not going to be able to grow back. What they do for third-degree burns like this is they debride it all the time. That's when they take like in the hospital, they take like a steel wool almost, and they scrub away the dead skin over time so that maybe they can grow new skin, or sometimes they'll have to do what's called a skin graft. Okay? Where they, like this person's going to need pretty much total reconstructive surgery of some kind. Okay, where they're going to take some kind of skin somewhere. Sometimes they grow it. Nowadays, they can grow skin in a lab. Okay, with stem cells, essentially, they can grow skin, like artificial skin. They use algae. A kind of algae is the matrix to hold it on, and then they grow the skin over it, and then they lay it back, and at least they get covered. Because the number one problem this person has right now is water loss. Okay? It's water loss out of their skin. So, this person, not such a big deal yet until they start scraping away the top parts of that skin. Yeah?
Should they take like skin from some house off of it?
Yes, if you got enough somewhere.
Because whenever my elbow, the guy said he burned, and they took it off my thigh.
Yep. My brother had the same thing. My brother has the same thing. He has like a scar on his thigh where he had skin graft from. Actually, that wasn't even for burns though. He had it for his fingers that were webbed together. Yeah. I know. Probably not, because you have, well, it depends. You can't move it. It's so swollen, and I mean, it's way bigger than it should be. That's the skin.
Why is it too white?
Turns white when it gets really, really burnt. Okay? Some of you just decided now whether or not you're going to be a doctor or anything. Okay? Alright, so any questions about burns or anything with skin at all? We didn't really talk about wrinkles. We talked about those before. Skin loses stretchiness a little bit over time.